Hello everyone, Deb Floros for Jesse James Beads. The new ombre collection is really amazing. There are so many textures and shapes and beautiful beads to work with. So I've got this trio of beads and this beautiful duo of painted glass beads. They're so colorful and joyful, and they're going to look so beautiful with that trio. Oh my gosh, I love this combination. So we're going to make a double-stranded bracelet, and I'm going to be throwing in some seed beads, and I'm using some 19 strand beading wire. I'm going to lay out the plan for this piece, and I want to incorporate both of those painted beads. They're so beautiful and colorful. I want to use them as the bracelet focal. So I'm just kind of lining up the beads to figure out if everything is going to work together and make sure I've got a pretty pattern to show off all of these fun pieces and parts. I've got some 22 gauge wire, and I'm creating a wire wrap loop, and I'm going to put one of the glass beads on and then create another wire wrap loop at the other end of the bead. These are going to be ready to go for when we're stringing the bracelet. We're just going to string them directly onto our stringing wire. So I've got this one wrapped up. That's how it will look. And you'll want to make sure that your loops are going in the same direction on both beads. I love them. So that's how they'll fit into the design. So I'm just going to start stringing, and you can be mindful of how those little teardrop shaped beads will go on. I did have to make one correction because I didn't have them all going in the same direction when I got started. So I'm putting 2 seed beads in between each of my larger beads just to add some dimension and extend out the number of beads. I don't want to put too many large beads, and I want them to have some movement. So when you get to the point where you've got your little connector beads that are now connector beads with those wire pieces strung through them, you can just string that directly onto your stringing wire. And don't forget to tighten up any ends of your wire that might be poking out a little bit. So I'm stringing everything on using all 3 shapes of these ombre beads, and they look really amazing together. And I'm checking with a ruler to make sure the length is going to be what I need. And you're going to need some really great bead stoppers to help you out to make this piece, because you've really got 4 ends of the bracelet to contend with. So I'm testing out the length. On my wrist looks good, and now I can string up the second side, so the second strand. And I'm just doing the same thing, putting on all of my beads using my 2 seed bead spacer method and stringing on all of those lovely beads. And then when I get to my connector bead, those focal beads, I'm just going to string my stringing wire right through the wire loop. And there is 1 bead in between those 2 beads, as well as 2 seed beads on either side of that center bead. And you could change it up. You could actually use a different bead in the center and space out those 2 beads differently if you like. Lots of design possibilities with all of these beautiful ombre beads. Okay, so now everything is strung, and this is going to fit really nicely. I love how that focal section looks. I'm going to use a 2-strand connector type clasp. And that clasp can be a just single loop toggle clasp as well. You would just attach both strands on each end to the 1 loop. I like a double strand if you can find one that you like. And because of the size of it, you may have to adjust the number of beads that you'll have on either end of your bracelet. This one's pretty substantive, so I ended up taking off 1 bead at each end of the piece. Then I'm using some size 2 crimp tubes and some French wire, attaching my toggle and making sure that all of the beads don't have any gaps, and then kind of looping my bracelet loosely while I crimp so that I don't choke any of the beads and that the beads will have a little bit of movement. So no gaps, but a little bit of movement. So I'm now putting my last strand onto the toggle clasp, and this just takes a little bit of time and patience because you've got a lot of moving pieces and parts at this point, but I love how this came out. I absolutely love this brand new ombre collection from Jesse James Beads. You can make so many fun things. I hope that you'll check it out at jessijamesbeads.com. Thank you so much for watching.